What is it? Hey there.
This is Brian from Talk 173. Calling for Franz. Hey, Sonia. We're getting the show started in just a second, and we'll be coming to you in about 2 or 3 minutes, okay? Thanks.
Hey there, Facebook. I was going to do the Tiger King intro from Carol. What is it? Hey there.
Cool cats and kittens.
Cool cats and kittens. I don't feel right about that. I don't know. I feel weird about that. Well, let me share this on Geaux Rouge. So, guys, if you're on the Talk 107.3 page, you can watch this episode. You can also do what's called a watch party, which allows you to stream it on your Facebook feed as if you were broadcasting it, which you are more than invited to do. This is episode number 22. We got a good show lined up today. We got Dr. Sonia Blauvelt, we've got Patton Brantley, and we've got Nick Pentas from Mercedes. We're going to be talking a little bit about the community and what's coming up on Geaux Rouge. Dr. Sonia Ryan is going to be talking about food psychology and how to kind of address eating during this time period. So I've been waiting to get in touch with her and get her on the show. She is a very cool doctor. Some of the same addiction principles for drugs go into eating. We kind of know that, right? I mean, that's intuitive. But, you know, in a time where most people are eating their feelings, especially when we're encouraging people to eat out, I thought she would be a good person to have on.
Excellent. You ready?
Yeah. All right. Good morning. Welcome to the Geaux Rouge Show. This is Franz Borkart hosting, and I have Brian Haldane on Master Controls. This is episode 22 of the Geaux Rouge Show. We've got some great stuff lined up today. We have Dr. Sonia Blauvelt. She is a doctor of food psychology. She's going to talk a little bit about the science and psychology behind food. We've got Patton Brantley, who's going to do a little teaser about a webinar show that we have coming up on Thursday about real estate in the COVID-19 era, so to speak. We're going to have a panel of about 8 people on that segment or on that webinar. And then lastly, we've got Nick Pentas from Mercedes talking about all the cool stuff that they're doing for the community right now that you may not know about. So before we launch into the show, let's talk about a few things. The Geaux Rouge Show is brought to you by the following sponsors. The Smith Shanklin Sosa personal injury law firm, great personal injury firm. If you have business interruption questions or claims, please contact them. Gulf Coast Title is a new sponsor for the show. We welcome them on board. Breck, Louisiana Tech Park, Sullivan Steakhouse, your neighborhood steakhouse. Definitely recommend them for takeout orders right now. They're doing a fare for 5 for $100, which is a really good deal. You can feed 5 people, and honestly, it's a 2-meal kind of deal. And then lastly, the Borkart Law Firm. So let's jump into a few things before we get Dr. Sonia on the phone. First and foremost, Geaux Rouge has created a small business group. It's called the Baton Rouge Small Business Networking Group. It is on the Geaux Rouge Facebook page. You can join the group. I'm letting every small business owner in. But join the group, share a little bit of information about your business. It's meant for networking. It's meant for you to connect with the community. Also, it's a resource group at this point where I am sharing information from different sources that will help small businesses. I am a small business owner. I own the Borkart Law Firm and a little business called Geaux Rouge. So I certainly want to be able to connect with my community at this time. Again, the Baton Rouge Small Business Networking Group on Facebook. You can join through the Geaux Rouge page. New website's up for Geaux Rouge, www.gauxrougebr.com, gauxrougebr.com. You can get all the information about the show, about blogs, about social media posts. Definitely check out gauxrougebr.com. And last but not least, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, Geaux Rouge webinar. Baton Rouge Real Estate with COVID-19 is going to be Thursday, April 9th at 10:30. It's going to be streaming from Facebook Live on Geaux Rouge. You're certainly welcome, whether you're somebody who's interested in real estate, buying or selling at this point, or if you're in the business of real estate. We've got a panel of 8 different experts that are going to be on there. I'm just moderating, Brian, so I don't know a lot about real estate, but you dabble. I mean, I'm not getting into your personal business, but you dabble in real estate, so you know a little bit about the industry, right? I mean,
how so?
I thought you were.
We had a rental property up until the flood. That was about it. I
said dabble. I didn't say. I didn't say tycoon.
No, definitely not tycoon.
We're not talking monopoly. You didn't have a lot of red and green.
I was unable to sell a house, so I rented it. That was my dabbling.
I got you, bro. So look, this seminar Thursday, April 9th at 10:30, open to everybody. It's just one of those things we're trying to do to give people resources. Okay, well, that being said, let's jump on into Dr. Sonia. Dr. Sonia, you there, Doc?
I'm here.
Hey, Dr. Sonia, how are you doing?
Hi, great. How are you?
So, I have been wanting to get you on the show for quite some time because, is this a safe space? Can we be honest with each other?
This is a safe space.
So, I have historically had a problem with eating. All my life, I have struggled with my weight. I struggle with my weight, present tense. And so I'm very much interested in the psychology behind eating. And so you kind of are in that arena, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and a lot of the work I do with clients is about appetite awareness training and emotional eating. So you're certainly not alone in your struggles.
So let's talk for a second. We're gonna give a disclaimer, because when I was talking to you about coming on the show, you made it clear, and I want to make it clear to the listeners, you're neither a dietitian or a nutritionist. We're talking about the psychology behind eating. So we're talking about what's going on in your brain, not so much what the nutritionist or dietitian does, correct?
Right, that's exactly right.
All right, so let's talk a little bit first about how does appetite work from a psychological standpoint?
Sure. So there's a lot of complicated definitions of appetite, but the simplest definition would be that appetite is our desire to eat. And that's composed of a lot of different cues. Of course, there's hunger, which is our physiological need to eat, and our appetite can be stimulated by that one cue, as well as these internal and external factors.
Like a pandemic.
Right, exactly. That would be a major external factor. And, just as our society has these, I guess culturally we're concerned with weight and body image and diet, and all of that has stepped into the pandemic culture that we're in right now. So
I want to talk about that a little bit, because I've been using the phrase, and I'm not alone, and I've used it, in fact, with Brian, this phrase, eating your feelings. So I want to talk a little bit about, okay, so we're in a pandemic state, which invokes different emotional responses, right? Anxiety, fear, panic, grief, frustration, helplessness. How does our appetite get affected by these things from a psychological standpoint?
Sure. So, we're all really vulnerable right now to all of the emotions that you listed. We learn how to cope with coronavirus. And we also live in a culture where food is tied up so much in how we feel. So the way that I guess our psychology might be working, or the way that our thought process might be working, is that we learn to use food to cope with our emotions, like you said, eating your feelings. And being in this situation, there's this external cue that dictates our eating for much of our lives. So I think we've stopped listening to internal cues. We listen to our emotions, how we say that we feel, and a lot of times food is seen as the answer.
So why is it that our emotions are tied to our eating?
Because eating is emotional in a lot of different ways.
You ain't wrong, sister. You ain't wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it's tied to so many positive things like celebration, feeling comforted, feeling loved, as well as to negative emotions. We might eat to cope with a loss, to deal with loneliness, but unfortunately, food has a lot of inherent limitations in treating our emotional states.
So as you know, I'm a criminal defense attorney, and so I deal with, and in fact, the way I connected with you, Doc, is through Dr. Brandon Romano and Associates, which is where you treat, correct?
Yes, that's right.
So it is not uncommon for me to have clients that have substance abuse issues, and it's funny the language they use when talking about the emotional high of using, followed by the disappointment and dissatisfaction that comes after the high, and when you hit the low. It sounds a lot like how we feel sometimes. You go and get that ice cream out of the fridge, and it's like in the moment you're feeling like, oh my God, this is so delicious, or you're eating that fried chicken box that you shouldn't be eating, and then afterwards there's this frustration, this dissatisfaction, disgust, whatever word you want to use. It
Right.
parallels addiction, correct?
Oh, it does totally. And what you're describing is negative reinforcement, with emotional eating or using alcohol or drugs reduces negative emotional states. And by diverting attention from how you feel, from being distressed, it temporarily reduces the distress. So is therefore negatively reinforcing your emotions.
So what can we do to turn the negative reinforcement into a positive reinforcement? What can we do to start creating habits that from an emotional standpoint, from a psychology standpoint, we're eating right because it emotionally is the right thing to do, and it makes us feel better as a result of it?
Sure. So that's really a complicated question because
We got all the time you
I
need,
think
Doc.
a lot of people think there might be a quick fix, just this one really simple thing that you need to do to change your way of thinking. But it really involves building an advanced level of self-awareness, really understanding where your internal and external cues come from. And it's more than just changing your environment. So I think previously, like eating treatment was about changing the foods that you keep in your house, doing activities that are not compatible with eating, like doing something outside or painting your nails. They were all environmental fixes. But now the literature is more about like turning inward, understanding your emotions. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I keep going because I'm about to talk about the external and the culture that you referenced earlier. But finish that thought.
Okay, yeah, it's about turning inwards and, naming your emotions, learning how to, one, adjust your emotional experience, and two, to be able to tolerate distress with the understanding that it's not permanent.
So I want to talk about the culture we live in right now, okay? Mm-hmm. I don't want to say that our external culture is volatile, Brian, or Dr. Sonia, but look, and I'm as a social media dude, I'm a part of it. But man, do we live in a universe that is just not realistic, and I think social media has made it worse. Talk a little bit about the negative side of our external culture and how we can kind of get away from that.
Oh gosh, so yeah, I could probably talk for hours about this, but I agree. I think social media, the culture that we live in, is promoting a thin ideal at the same time as it's promoting certain ways of eating, certain types of foods that are really rich or considered to be treats. Mm-hmm. And the ideal is getting thinner, while the reality of our culture, people may be moving towards a different shape or size. And the larger the difference or the contrast between the ideal and the actual self, the more conflict and distress that we have.
So I also worry about, on social media, I also worry about information validity.
Sure.
I'm on, and I'm embarrassed to tell you this because I know we'll have a talk about this later, probably a session. I'm on keto, right? So I do low carb, and it's worked very well for me. But you have keto listservs that there's posts in there that if you just look at it at face value, it looks like it's a valid and credible post. But then you start kind of doing a little bit of digging, and you're like, man, that's not accurate at all. And so, I'm not saying that we live in a Wikipedia. We don't live in a Wikipedia, food culture online, but there's a lot of bad information out there. So let's transition a little bit about how we can, especially right now. So right now, most of us are socially distancing. Right now, most of us are staying at home. We're being encouraged to support local restaurants and to get takeout, which of course is a double-edged sword, right? Because some of the food that we're getting is genuinely just not healthy. Some of it is. Right. I mean, some of it very much is, and you can eat healthy takeout. But candidly, it's a double-edged psychological sword right now, because if you're listening, it's hard to resist the need to support those local restaurants. But in the same breath, man, I don't want to leave this pandemic weighing 50 more pounds.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you're right. There is so much misinformation out there, and we filter it through the things that we know and believe, to the point that, suddenly someone's afraid of eating a carrot because how much sugar there is in it.
Right.
And
so I'm a bad example. So I'm a bad case study for that, because when I started my low carb diet, not to interrupt you, and I want you to finish your thought, but I would not eat tomatoes and carrots. And I have a deep love of tomatoes. I can eat a tomato raw, like an apple. And for the longest time during this keto diet, I just wasn't eating tomatoes because I was scared of the sugar and carbs. And then I started looking at numbers, and I was like, you know what? I can spend some carbs on a tomato and it's not going to kill me. I can eat a carrot and it's going to be okay. Now, if I eat a bushel, or carrots in bushels, I don't know. If I eat a bushel of carrots, that may be a problem. But I mean, excess is excess. So, but back to proper recommendations with what's going on. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an opportunity cost to everything that we eat. And so you're referencing all of the restaurants, the takeout and delivery that's going on right now. And that's one area where I think that turning inward to your internal cues about hunger and fullness can be most beneficial, rather than eating just because we think we should, to manage our emotions or to fill a void that we can't even clarify.
So one of the things in talking to you in preparation for this show, one of the things I read from one of your notes was about mindfulness. Talk a little bit about what it means to be mindful.
So mindfulness, there's kind of two parts to the definition. One is paying attention, just being present to your emotions, to your physical body, and to what's going on around you. And the second part of that is to do it non-judgmentally. So
tell me a little bit more about the non-judgmental mindfulness.
Yeah. So what you were saying earlier, you might eat that bucket of chicken or the ice cream, and then you might feel guilty, disgusted afterwards. And it's acknowledging those emotions, but not viewing that as a way to criticize yourself.
So my big problem, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, my big problem is moderation. I can diet for 6 months, and then when I'm off my diet, it is like the worst binging of food eating, in existence. My wife and I talk about it because it's like 0 to 100 miles per hour. Whereas it would be okay if I had one piece of fried chicken or one piece of pizza. It's like, not to shame myself, but I'm eating the entire pizza. So I want to talk now about, we got a little bit of time left. I want to talk about strategies, because I know you have some strategies that you would recommend for our listeners. Talk to us a little bit about strategies.
Well, so one, the mindless eating is actually one of the most easy things to change. To start paying attention to how you feel, to what your food tastes like, might involve one, putting down your phone and turning off the TV while you eat. I went to the Tambao Temple in Baton Rouge once, which is a Buddhist temple, and they do a mindful meal where you just eat in silence, surrounded by people.
How nice was
really
that?
Good, yeah, it was so nice. It was a little awkward at first, but it was really just a cool experience. You really notice what you're eating. You're not likely to stop and go get more and more food.
So I've got to jump in here. I want to ask because last night, for the first time in my child's existence, we ate, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I'm being truthful here. We ate dinner as a family without the TV being on. And in fact, I told my son I want to have a dinner where we're all just talking. And now he's 4, Doc, and so of course he had a visceral and emotional reaction to not being able to eat without the TV on. But I got to tell you, it was just a nice experience. And I want to talk about cell phones and eating because I've heard you say that there's this correlation between our eating habits, our appetite, and cell phones. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it mostly just encourages mindless eating. You're just habitually or repetitively putting the food into your mouth without really tasting it, without paying attention. So you're not eating in this mindful way.
I like it. And look, food's especially from our culture, food is the unifier, right? We can have a lot of differences, but food brings us together. And I can't imagine eating without paying attention to what I'm actually eating in terms of the taste, the flavors. That's part of the joy of the ritual for me is, man, this tastes good, or hey, this tastes too salty, or this is just the right amount of fire that I want and spicy. So I like the idea of this mindfulness and paying attention to what you're doing and maybe putting the cell phone down. And I certainly need to put the cell phone down. Back to strategies, Doc. Back to strategies. So mindfulness, what else?
So mindfulness, getting on an eating schedule can be really helpful. Right now, a lot of us are working at home or just home all day, and food is just there. So structuring your meals and snacks around specific times can be really helpful.
Okay.
And then just starting that work on addressing our feelings without judgment. So not criticizing or judging ourselves for what we're eating or how we're even doing right now. There's so much like moralistic discussion about whether food is good or bad and what we're eating that can make us feel worse in the long term.
So one of my listeners just private messaged me because she didn't want to be loud capped on the thread. She asked about journaling. She asked about dietary journaling. Is there a value in keeping a log of what you're eating and how you feel in conjunction to that?
There is. There's a really great way to do that, like a way to monitor emotional eating, actually. And you really rate how you feel, like emotionally when you start eating, and then you also rate how hungry you are. Like maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, how hungry do you really feel before you eat? So I can definitely send you actually a form that I've used with it's an emotional eating monitoring form. Awesome.
Doc, let me say this, Doc. I'm going to invite you because you're one of the smartest food people I know, and you've tempted me to get into this vegetarian world that you live in, which I love. Mm-hmm. I'm going to invite you to help me do a blog post on strategy that I will post on the Geaux Rouge website. Doc,
I would love to do that.
Dr. Sonia, if people out there want to get in touch with you to possibly have a deeper conversation or even to maybe get a session with you virtually or in person, where would they go, Doc?
They can go on our practice website, which is romanopsych.com.
Okay.
And request an appointment through there. And then I'm also on Instagram at Red Stick Veg.
Red Stick Veg. So let me ask you this. In terms of treatment and counseling right now for the food psychology, are y'all able to virtually serve your clients right now?
Yes, I'm doing telehealth.
Wonderful.
Or even just telephone calls. Yeah.
Well, Doc, I appreciate you coming in. It's been a great conversation. We certainly are going to have a follow-up. I've already talked to you about doing maybe a Zoom live stream next week about some different topics. So we definitely will have you back on. Doc, thank you and have a great day.
Thanks so much. Bye, friends.
Bye. So y'all been listening to Dr. Sonia Blauvelt. She is in food psychology. Man, that's some good stuff, Brian. I mean, I got to tell you, man, I've been hardcore on my diet right now, and I've lost a little bit of weight. I'm thinking about beating you on this Fat Boy 50 thing. So
it's probably going to happen. I
That's
can't
okay.
get anywhere with. I mean, it's with the extended coverage and whatnot.
Right,
my habits have gone to garbage.
Well, that was the thing that I was afraid of. So we're going to be hitting our first break. When we come back, we're going to have Patton Brantley and Nick Pentas. Don't go anywhere, Facebook Live, and we will be right back. So I love Dr. Sonia. Dr. Sonia has been trying to convince me. I'm talking to Facebook right now. Dr. Sonia has been trying to convince me to do a week of vegetarian. I think that would be a fun experience. Some of the vegetarian foods out there are absolutely just out of this world. Also, I'm a big fan of spice. So if you put the right spice and flavor on anything, I will gobble it. I've been doing the keto low carb thing for a while now, which is funny because when you're really into it, when you're really in ketosis, you're not really hungry. It's a weird thing. Like appetite wise, you're not really hungry. I like to eat smaller meals now. So anyways, coming up next, guys, if you're in Facebook world, coming up next, we're going to have Patton Brantley. Patton is a realtor with the Patton Brantley Realty Group. Patton's going to talk to me a little bit about some real estate trends, and then we're going to jump into a conversation with Nick Pentas from Mercedes. You know, I posted about this earlier. Mercedes makes a sexy car. Everybody knows that. I mean, we may disagree on what's the best, sexiest car in the world, but Mercedes of Baton Rouge, they sell a sexy product. But a lot of people don't know all the community-oriented stuff that Mercedes does. So I wanted to have them on to talk about it. One of the things they're working on right now, well, I don't want to spoil it, but they're working on some good COVID-19 initiatives to help fight and help first responders. So that's why we're having him on. It's not a giant car advertisement. So stick around for a second. We're going to jump back into our second segment. Yep. I'm always curious of the bump music you're going to pick. All right, Facebook world. This is Franz Borkart with the Geaux Rouge Show, second segment, episode 22. 22 episodes, Brian. Man, we've been doing this for a minute. I mean, we got Brian Haldane behind Master Controls. Brian has been a soldier lately, doing COVID-19 crisis coverage at Talk 107.3. Man, you've been doing a lot of heavy lifting. I want to thank you, Brian, for everything you're doing.
Oh, not a problem at all. It's a couple extra hours a day. No big deal.
So, Geaux Rouge is brought to you by the following sponsors. We have the Smith Shanklin Sosa personal injury law firm. We have Gulf Coast Title. We have Breck. We have Louisiana Tech Park, Sullivan's, and the Borkart Law Firm. Brian, we're still listening to some of this wonderful bump music. What is this I'm listening to?
It's Drake, Passion Fruit.
Maybe I need to get bigger on my Drake. So
I love Drake. How can you not love Drake?
I do like Drake. That
Love
was my
Drake.
subtle way of saying that the music was still playing and I'm talking.
Okay.
You can keep going. I mean,
No, I let it breathe, man.
You
I
let
let
it
it breathe. Yeah. You don't need
Okay.
to, list out the sponsors over a dry read.
I like it. I like it. So, okay. This is my life, guys. If you notice, I'm wearing a yellow hat today. Normally I wear purple or red hats, and they're Geaux Rouge hats. I'm wearing a Sweet Baton Rouge hat. A lot of you guys, shout out to Meredith Wagaspack, Sweet Baton Rouge. They are selling some great local clothes. We had her on this weekend. We had her on a Zoom live stream talking about a local pop-up shop, a virtual marketplace that they're doing. Check it out on the Geaux Rouge website, www.GeauxRougeBR.com. I want to remind you guys, we talked about it in the first segment. I want to remind you guys to join the Baton Rouge Small Business Networking Group on the Geaux Rouge page. It's a great place to hop on if you're a small local business owner. We have about 350 people right now. We're sharing ideas. We're sharing information about businesses. So you're definitely welcome to do that. All right. Our first guest for the second half is Patton Brantley. Patton, you there, buddy?
I'm here.
Hey, man, how's it going? How's the family?
Oh, they're doing great. Trying to have a little fun with the kids at home while we can. And, it's going really good. I love that you love the little Drake tune, man. That makes me excited.
I need to get my Drake. My Drake world needs to expand a little bit. So, Patton, you're a realtor with the Patton Brantley Realty Group, correct?
That's correct.
So I wanted to have you on for two reasons. First, I want to talk about this Geaux Rouge webinar we have coming up on Thursday, Baton Rouge Real Estate with COVID-19. It's going to be Thursday, April 9th at 10:30 on Geaux Rouge Facebook Live. You're going to be a panelist on that, correct?
I am. Yeah, we have a bunch of great panelists on there. A lot of educated realtors, lenders, and everybody. It's going to be a good panel to tune into. I
appreciate you serving on that. I know as you know, as my realtor, you know that I know very little about real estate. However, what I am interested in, and the reason I organized this was whether you're in the business as a professional, or if you're just like me, someone who's an outsider. There are a lot of interesting things and trends going on in real estate right now, and I kind of want to segue into that with a teaser from you. What have been some of your observations about what's going on right now from your perspective?
I think a lot of people are kind of in the point of like wait and see. The market is still moving. I pulled some information just really quickly that over the last 30 days, 1,200 new listings, almost 900 pending sales, and almost 1,000 homes have sold in the past 30 days. I know a lot of people that are either looking to buy or sell are kind of hesitant right now just because of, the COVID-19 outbreak that we're having. So there are a couple of things that agents and even for sale by owner people can do to still market and sell their home.
Well, and as you know, my sister-in-law works for a mortgage lending company.
Yes.
And every day she comes home talking about what's going on in the lending world, about refinance. And for those there are people who are listening who don't know what that means, but essentially explain to the listeners what it means to refinance.
So a refinance, which I'm actually doing right now, you have your mortgage. So your interest rate is higher. Well, the rates have dropped, and you want to take advantage of that. So you're going to refinance your home to get a lower rate, which will essentially drop your monthly payment.
Which is a good thing right now.
Which is a very good thing. Everybody would love to have a lower payment.
Right. So, and what's interesting, and one of the reasons we're having this COVID-19 webinar is things are changing so quickly. Things are changing so quickly with what's going on. So, I want to make sure that people know kind of what they can expect. The other thing is, if you're if you're in the real estate profession, I want you to be able to connect with other people. One of the sponsors of the show, shout out to Gulf Coast Title. I talk to them on a regular basis, and it's always interesting to me the things I don't know that they're telling me is going on from the title world, about closings right now. Because as a lawyer, I can tell you that there's certain things you have to do to negotiate legal documents and whatnot in person. And so I'm curious about how that's working, closings and whatnot. So these are all things we're going to talk about. Patton, if people want to get more information about the Patton Brantley Realty Group on social media, where would they go?
You can go to our Facebook page, Patton Brantley Realty Group. We have a website, livebr.com, livebr.com.
That's a nice website handle.
Thank you.
livebr.com.
livebr.com. It's a good one.
So Brian, let me say this. Brian, Patton and I went to high school together. Like I said, he's one of my favorite realtors in Baton Rouge, not just because he is my realtor. Patton, be safe out there. Wish your family the best, and thank you for coming on.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. So check out the Geaux Rouge webinar, Baton Rouge Real Estate with COVID-19 on Thursday, April 9th at 10:30. It's going to be streaming live from the Geaux Rouge Facebook page. If you want to submit questions about real estate during the webinar, I will be moderating it, so you're definitely welcome to do that. Last but not least, we've got Nick Pentas from Mercedes. Nick, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Franz.
All right, man. Hey, your phone is extremely loud. Back up a little bit, man.
All right.
You get excited. I mean, if I were running Mercedes in Baton Rouge, I'd be excited too. So, how's life right now? Let's talk about the car industry to start off with. What is your official title over at Mercedes for those who are listening?
I'm the general manager and managing partner here at the Baton Rouge dealership that we have.
So what observations, let's get to it real fast. What observations have you been seeing in the car industry from Mercedes with everything that's going on right now?
Well, first of all, I'm going to start with what Daimler is doing, which is the parent company out of Germany.
Okay.
They have already started making 3D printers ready for the production of medical equipment. So that's one of the main things that they're doing. They're also, their Formula One team has started developing and producing breathing aids. So they, instead of, making race cars, they're making breathing aids. That's what their engineers there are doing. So that's been, something that can help hospitals with ventilators and breathing. And then one of the other things that they're doing that they're helping with, building temporary hospitals. I don't know if you saw the article of the hospital they put up in India, but they're doing that, on a global outreach level.
Well, let me jump in here. Many folks have asked me when I was advertising for this episode, some folks were like, man, why is Mercedes going to be on the Geaux Rouge Show? And I told them, and it's no surprise to me that your parent company is doing all these things, because candidly, and a lot of people don't know about it. And one of the things, Brian, that we like doing on this show is having entities on that do a lot of community work that don't necessarily request and demand recognition for it, but probably deserve it. And look, Mercedes of Baton Rouge is one of those entities, Nick. I mean, you guys are doing a heck of a lot of community work. If you go to most charity events, you'll see in some ways you guys involved, whether it's with the business report, whether it's with other things. So it's not surprising to me that Mercedes is stepping up, or the parent company is stepping up and doing stuff to respond to this. Talk a little bit about the local Mercedes of Baton Rouge. Is there anything you guys are doing right now?
Yeah, definitely, Franz. So one of the first things that our team decided to do was to do a food drive here at the dealership. So we collected cans, rice, different things for the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank. So we collected all those items and went and donated them on Friday. So that's
awesome.
Just the culture that we have here, the culture of giving. I know you see our name on, sponsorships. A couple of the main ones that we do is Holly Days with Junior League.
Right.
You've also probably seen us with Dream Teachers. We've been involved with that for many years. We give the Louisiana Teacher of the Year a Mercedes to drive while they're out for their year that they won. So those are a couple of the main ones we do. And obviously we have a good connection with the folks at the Business Report,
right,
as well. But on our local level, we get involved in as many charities as we can, as long as it's meaningful for us and for the charity. So
and that's one of the things, and I've been talking a lot about this. I practice law, as you know. Nick and I are in Rotary together, Brian. In fact, Brian Haldane's in Rotary with us, or we're in Rotary with Brian, depending on how you look at things. But one of the things I often talk about when it comes to giving back to the community, which I think is a very good point, is I have told people that the best way of networking and marketing a business is to give back, because the return on your investment, and when I say give back, it may be as simple as a food drive. It may be as simple as sponsoring something, but that to me is the best. That to me is so much a better investment than a giant billboard. And look, you guys at Mercedes, and again, I unfortunately don't drive a Mercedes. I'm slumming it with a Caddy right now. But that may change one day, Nick. That may change one day. But you guys at Mercedes already make a superior product. So the fact that you guys are giving back, I think that speaks volume about your culture. So how are your employees doing, man?
They're doing pretty good. I mean, one of the first things we did when we knew this was becoming a pandemic is we took advice from multiple medical professionals, and we found that if somebody was immune compromised, that we wanted to make sure that they were comfortable and that they could go home and get paid. We didn't want to say, look, we've been deemed an essential business, everybody has to come to work. We wanted to take care of the people that might have complications. So we did that first. We've reduced hours. We've obviously taken all the necessary precautions. We've fogged the entire building. We're doing all the necessary sanitation precautions, and we're here in case anybody needs us. Cars don't stop breaking. People don't, their leases don't stop, maturing. So we're here in case somebody needs us. But the morale of the team has been really good, and they're very understanding, and doing what they need to do to be here when we come out of this. Any revenue we have, obviously we're gonna give back as much as we can to the community, like we always have.
Well, I appreciate that as a member of the community that loves what you guys are doing. I appreciate that. It's interesting to me. Let's talk cars for a second.
Sure.
The biggest, other than when I go to my office right now, or when I go to do the radio, the biggest release I have right now is the 10 to 15 minutes I'm in my car driving somewhere. There's something peaceful about it. There's something eerie about it because, candidly, Brian and Nick, if you've noticed, traffic is where we all want it to be right now, right? There's very few people on the roadways. I'm a slow driver too, by the way. I'm a grandma. I'm going 15 miles under the speed limit. I don't drive quickly. I'd probably be the kind of person that would drive people insane. But there's something relaxing about that right now. And I'm glad to hear that people are still doing stuff with automobiles right now, whether it's, hey, I need to get my car fixed, or hey, I'm looking to get another car right now. Have you noticed anything about, and look, I don't want to get into proprietary information, but have you noticed anything about purchasing? Have you seen a decline, or is it pretty much the same as where it was, or?
There's definitely been a decline.
Okay.
I would say, probably 30%, 30 to 40%. Our ambulance companies still need us, though, and we haven't seen any decline there. As
right.
Being the supplier to Acadian Ambulance with their vans, they still need those emergency vehicles. We still have to fix them when they break down.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I don't think people realize that you guys are in that business. Talk a little bit about that.
The van business, yeah, we've been in the van business since 2010, since we were able to add that franchise to our umbrella. And one of the first partnerships we had was a fleet partnership with Acadian Ambulance out of Lafayette. And so that's been a big partnership for us. But we've also taken care of other companies locally, from people that do catering.
Right.
You also have hotels. Some of the hotels you'll see our vans around, and then people do upfits and people with wheelchair lifts. We do pretty much anything with the vans. You can do any kind of custom upfitting. So it's been a good business for us to be in, because there's always a need, and the Sprinter vans have been really reliable.
Right.
Diesel motors. We even use 3 for our parts distribution that we do here, that we put 300,000-400,000 miles on them, and they just run.
Well, and again, superior product, doing good community-oriented work, whether it's for restaurants or for hospitals. All right, man. So look, let's narrow it down a little bit. So how is Nick Pentas doing as a person? What's been going on in your world, man, with your family and everything?
Yeah, man, life goes on. Actually, on Sunday, my middle child had his 16th birthday. So
happy birthday.
We went to Stabs and got him a lobster and some boiled shrimp and grilled some steaks at the house. So, we're trying to support all our local restaurants here. So we just, life goes on. Got 3 kids. They're finishing up their schoolwork every day. And I just like seeing everybody outside, riding bikes, playing basketball. Mm-hmm. Everybody's yard is on point. The landscaping is great around the neighborhood, and all the golfers out at U Club are playing a lot of golf. So I'm trying to get in there every once in a while. But, yeah, everything's going great from a family standpoint.
Good.
And the employees can't wait here. We do a paid day per quarter for volunteer charity work. So a couple of them have talked to me about, being able to get back out there and donate their time. And, that's what we're about.
So,
we always looking out for others, and we don't, it's not just giving money for sponsorships. It's actually sending volunteers out and doing things that we can. So,
well, I think what's emblematic of that, Nick, is that you guys, for example, the food drive, it would be too easy for you guys just to throw money at a cause. The better route for you guys and the better route for the community was to raise food goods by collecting them, right? So certainly you guys are, look, I've said it, companies like Mercedes of Baton Rouge, community oriented, very, very much doing good things. Man, look, I appreciate you joining us today. Anything else we need to know about that's going on, Nick, before I let you go?
No, not particularly. I just, other than, we'll all get through this, and we'll be here to support the community when we do, as much as we have been in the past. That's all.
Before you go, if people want to get more information about Mercedes of Baton Rouge, where should they go?
They should go to mbobr.com. That's our website. We have our COVID-19 response on there. If they want to look at vehicles or even just see what we're doing in the community. Also, our Facebook page has a good bit of information. You'll see pictures of our food drive, or when we had the Glasgow Middle School strongmen come here for their field trip. You'll see all that stuff, all our community involvement on our Facebook page as well.
Well, look, if you guys are up to anything community oriented, let me know. I'll make sure I share it on the Geaux Rouge page. You've been listening, guys, to Nick Pentas for the GM over at Mercedes of Baton Rouge. Thanks, man. Have a great day.
Thank you, Franz. I appreciate it.
All right. Man, we've had some good guests today. I've got a little bit of time left. I just want to talk to Haldane for a little bit. Can I have some time with Haldane for a little bit?
Sure.
So, Brian, I want to talk to you, and I intentionally, you didn't know this, but I intentionally kept a little extra time in today so that I could talk to the listeners about everything you've been doing. Your official gig at Talk 107.3 is you have a morning show.
Mm-hmm.
With Guarantee, you have a title, right? You run some things.
I'm the assistant program director and news director.
All right.
Yeah.
So I don't think people fully appreciate what's going on. Brian does a morning show every single morning, and then you hop back on at 11. In fact, after he gets done producing my show, he's going to hop back on at 11 with Condon.
Why do you say that with such disdain? Like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're like, with Condon.
With Condon. Maybe, you know what? Maybe it's jealousy. Maybe I'm jealous of the time that you guys get to share, and my time with you is
every Wednesday morning you get to share that time with us as well.
I'm getting there. So 11 to win.
To 1.
To 1.
Until this is over with, and then we're going to see where it goes after that, because I got to tell you, Rich and I have had some decent chemistry so far.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are working.
So,
and then on top of all that, you're doing later stuff in the afternoons, correct? I mean,
yeah, but that's about to scale back.
Okay, good.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. We're at a point in this pandemic where the amount of information coming in is starting to either slow or get a lot more regular.
Right.
It's a lot more, every day the numbers come out. When we started, the numbers were coming out in the morning and the afternoon. Now they're coming out every day at noon. So afternoon, and then you've got the governor will have a daily press conference at 3, and then there's nothing.
So I guess my point behind this piece is shout out to Guarantee and you, Brian, for doing everything you're doing. I have mixed feelings about this Condon Haldane thing, but that's just jealousy. That's coming, that's coming from a place of I want more time. Maybe it's just I want more time on the air and not so much wanting more time with but I do get time with you and Condon tomorrow morning.
Yes.
For legally
every Wednesday
served.
morning, legally served. Hopefully we won't be talking about the same thing tomorrow, because there's been nothing new from that guy yet.
So you know what I really want to talk about tomorrow? We've got about 2 minutes left. I want to talk about letting people out of prison, because I feel like the three of us will have different feelings on that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so right there, done. Yeah. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So look, guys, you've been listening to the Geaux Rouge Show. We've got a little bit of time left. I want to reiterate some stuff that we have coming up. And again, shout out to Guarantee and Brian Haldane for all the stuff that they're doing.
Thank you.
It is not easy, guys. It is not easy to cover crises. Again, I'm going to suggest that you go to www.GeauxRougeBR.com for everything Geaux Rouge. We have our blogs, our radio shows. We have Instagram and social media posts on there. I certainly want you to hit that up. Also, we have a YouTube page that I'm encouraging you to go to. Go to the Geaux Rouge YouTube page. Watch our videos. Please give us some feedback, because the only way things get better is if you tell us what stuff I'm doing wrong. That's about it for this episode of the Geaux Rouge Show. You've been listening to Franz Borkhardt. We'll be back next week with another Geaux Rouge Show. Stay good and God bless. Bye, Facebook. Hold on, I'll say goodbye. Love you, Facebook. Bye-bye.